an armored cash van carrying 7 crore Indian rupee, nearly $850,000, disappeared in broad daylight. No masks, no weapons, no chase, no fear. A team that understood the banking system better than the people who worked inside made even security trust the wrong man. This wasn't fiction. This wasn't a Netflix-style money heist. There are more real incidents like this, stories that sound like fiction. So before we continue, like the video and subscribe, because reality is getting harder to ignore. November 19th, 2025. It was the afternoon. An armored cash van followed its routine route. Inside were sealed containers carrying money meant to refill ATMs across the city. 7.11 crore Indian rupee. Almost $900,000. For the guards, nothing felt different. Same schedule, same routine, same responsibility. But sometimes danger never announces itself. It just waits quietly on a crowded city road in Bengaluru, surrounded by noise, traffic, and everyday chaos. A white Toyota Innova appeared ahead of the van. It wasn't speeding. It wasn't threatening. It simply slowed down and forced the cash van to stop. Men stepped out without masks and no hesitation. They introduced themselves as Reserve Bank of India officers. They showed badges. They spoke with authority. And authority has a strange power. People follow it without question. The guards complied. Cash containers, worth more money than most people would see in a lifetime, were calmly carried from the van to the waiting vehicle. No alarms, shouting, or resistance. Because everything looked official. Everything felt legitimate. And the human brain is trained to trust uniforms more than instincts. The guard stood by as the men inspected the van. Nothing felt strange. Then came the instruction. Firm, clear, and routine sounding. The sealed cash boxes needed to be handed over for verification. To the guards, it sounded procedural, a part of the job. So without resistance, the sealed boxes were handed to the men. Within minutes, the white vehicle drove away. Meanwhile, the cash van continued its journey. Empty, silent, and unaware it had already been robbed. At the next checkpoint, documents were checked. Verification attempted. But there were no inspection orders. No RBI message and no instruction. That's when confusion turned into shock. And shock turned into a police case. The heist was complete. Before anyone even realized the crime had happened. Karnataka police mobilized immediately. Teams were formed. CCTV traced. Phones tracked. Vehicles followed across state borders. And slowly, the truth surfaced. This wasn't random. This wasn't luck. This was planned. One of the alleged key minds was a serving police constable. Another, a former employee of the same cash handling company. They knew the route. They knew weak points. They knew how the system worked. They didn't use violence. They used knowledge and confidence. Within 54 hours, multiple suspects were arrested. Nearly 5.76 Indian rupees crore, about $700,000 was recovered. The plan collapsed, but the fear it left behind didn't. People call it a smart heist. Some even call it flawless. But if it was perfect, no one would have been arrested. No money would have been recovered. It wasn't planning that collapsed. It was greed. Because greed doesn't stop when a job is done. It pushes for more. And in that push, it leaves mistakes. In movies, the perfect crime exists. In reality, every crime leaves a trail. And greed gives it away. Was this a smart plan? Or just greed pretending to be clever? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Share this story with someone who still believes crimes like this only happen in movies. And if you want more real incidents that feel unreal, like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications.